We are in the second month of the new year. My, how time is flying. And I wanted to just leave you with this thought. How often do you make a self investment? Now, typically when we think about making a self investment, we think about finances, buying a new pair of shoes, clothing, something material. But what I'm talking about is something that cannot be taken away from you, making a self investment. I was doing some reading and some studying the other day, and a thought came across my mind, and I wrote it down. And I wrote these words down: You are no good to others unless you are first good to yourself. I'll repeat that one more time. You are no good to others unless you are first good to yourself. What do I mean by that? You have to make an investment in yourself. Sometimes we are so helter-skelter, we're running around, we're doing this and that for everyone else, and we rarely spend time to invest in ourselves spiritually, mentally, and even physically sometimes. And that therefore our health suffers. Mentally, we make sporadic decisions, and sometimes we're all over the place. But when we sit down to make that self-investment, we will receive the peace that surpasses all understanding. And so that's my encouragement for you today, to begin to make a self-investment so that you may be able to effectively walk in the purpose and the plan that God has for your life. Habakkuk 2 declares, write the vision and make it plain. Could it be that sometimes the very reason we don't walk in the fullness and the abundant life that God has for us is because we have not yet learned how to sit down and write out that vision that God has placed in our spirits and in our hearts. And so I encourage you to make the self-investment, to write the vision, make it plain. To do all that God has called you to do, you have to be willing to hear and to listen. What better way to do that than to begin to write down those thoughts, those divine desires, those godly desires that God has placed in you, and then pray over them and begin to carry them out. I also want to leave you with this last word, and this is something that I live by, and it simply goes like this: a mind change equals a life change.